has the added attraction of crossing from north to south the very center of Madrid, with its best Baroque churches, while we remember the tireless missionary activity of Father Claret. In the midst of the distractions of such a lively and modern city, we will have to make an effort to find some of the traces left by Claret if we are able to escape the lure of the Corte Inglés in Preciados or the delights of chocolate with churros in San Ginés. Let us begin. Itinerary of the Fourth Walk, from Gran Via to Embajadores. We start in the Red de San Luis. We walk towards the Caballero de Gracia Oratory. Crossing the Gran Via, we arrive at the Church of San Martin. From there, we descend towards the Church of Nuestra Señora del Carmen y San Luis. We head to the Monasterio de las Descalzas Reales. Arriving at Calle Arenal, we visit the Church of San Ginés. A long path that crosses the Plaza Mayor, it takes us to the Church of San Isidro. Afterwards, we walk towards the Church of San Cayetano. And finally, we find the ruins of the San Fernando Church, where this walk concludes. We begin our walk in the Plaza de Red de San Luis, Gran Via Metro Station. From there we take Calle Caballero de Gracia, where we immediately come across the so-called Oratorio de Caballero de Gracia on the left. It is the work of Juan de Villanueva. It has a single nave. It dates from the end of the 18th century in neoclassical style. The most famous work of art is the Crucifix of the Agony, from the Convent of the Agonisantes in Calle de Fuencarral, created by Juan Sanchez Barba in the mid-18th century.
The oratory occupied the site of the house where the English ambassador to Parliament, Ascombe, was murdered in 1650 by English royalists in revenge for the regicide of Charles I of England, which he had supported. At the end of the 19th century, the city council wanted to demolish the oratory to make the first part of the Gran Via wider, but it failed.
In this oratory, Father Claret used to bless and give out holy medals to those poor children who were most diligent in the study of catechism, an activity carried out by the Society of the Child Jesus with the poorest children in Madrid. Returning to Red de San Luis, we go along the Gran Via towards the Plaza del Callao. Before arriving, we turn right into Calle Concepcion Arenal. There, we will find the facade of the Church of San Martin. It is located on the site of the former convent of the Clérigos Menores Filipenses of 1643, first dedicated to San Felipe Neri and later Our Lady of the Portacelli.
The current church dates back to 1725 and was built upon its predecessor of 1684. The architect is unknown, although it is thought to be built in the style of Pedro de Ribera, given its churrigueresque facade, and all the rest of it being in a Madrid Baroque style. This church was given the parish name of San Martin in 1836, after a very ancient parish church located in the Plaza de las Descalzas, which was demolished by Joseph Napoleon and which was a medieval monastery of Benedictine monks. The canvas of the Holy Family of Carreño is preserved here. Saint Soledad Torres Acosta, whose baptismal font is now in the Almudena Cathedral, was baptized in this church.
On December 23, 1858, Father Claret baptized 2 Africans from Equatorial Guinea here. He then conferred on them the sacrament of confirmation. In the parish church, there were 2 certificates signed in the saint's handwriting. Miguel Martinez, founder of the Siervas de Maria, was the person who brought the Guineans to Claret. From San Martin, we return to Gran Via and cross it and take the streets of Abada and Salud to the Church of Carmen Calzado. This church is located in Calle del Carmen, near the Puerta del Sol. It is the church of the old convent of the religious community of Our Lady of Carmel, built in 1575 during the reign of Philip II. From 1611 to 1638, a new, larger, and more monumental building was erected, the work of Miguel de Soria, the same architect as that of the Carboneras.
The convent was demolished after the confiscation, but the spacious church with its beautiful chapels was preserved. The main altarpiece is presided over by a colossal Baroque image of Our Lady of Carmen, the work of Sanchez Barba. The Baroque facade on Calle de la Salud is that of the now defunct parish church of San Luis Obispo, located on Calle de la Montera. We know from the testimony of his cook, Simon de la Padrosa, that Father Claret preached in San Luis Obispo.
In May 1858, Father Claret celebrated a sumptuous ceremony in the Church of El Carmen on the novena promoted by the Royal Congregation of the Illumination and Continuous Candle of the Blessed Sacrament. His most fervent zeal and his imponderable eloquence caused the liveliest emotions. He used to preach the sermons of All Souls in this church. According to the chroniclers, he preached these sermons without receiving any stipend. And from El Carmen, we cross the commercial streets of Madrid. And arrive at the Plaza de las Descalzas, where the convent of the Descalzas Reales is located. This convent of Franciscan sisters was and still is the most important in the royal court for its history and artistic wealth. Although the confiscation deprived them of almost all their possessions, they kept the convent and its church intact. The people of Madrid always had a deep respect for this monastery.
It was known that the foundation in 1560 belonged to Princess Juana, sister of Philip II, who was buried there in a beautiful tomb, the work of Pompey Leone. The princesses and women of the highest rank had belonged to its community, to the point that its abbess held the title of Grandee of Spain. Until the middle of the 19th century, there was an abundant clergy of more than 24 priests. Today, its artistic wealth and noble rooms are open to visiting tourists. The church is the work of Juan Bautista de Toledo, and its facade is by Gomez de Mora. In 1755, after the Lisbon earthquake, its interior was redecorated by Diego de Villanueva. The Spanish musician Tomás Luis de Victoria was its organist and chapel master.
It is recorded that Father Claret officiated at the Pontifical Mass of the chapter of the Order of Charles III in this church.
The event, say the chronicles, was very brilliant, and a large congregation was present.
Leaving the Descalzas, we can see the facade of the old convent of San Martin in front of us. And we go down Calle de San Martin to Calle de Arenal, right in front of the church of San Ginés. Its patron saint is Saint Genesius of Arles, In 1642, the old church, which seems to have been Mozarabic, was demolished. Diego de Juan built the new church in 1645 with 3 naves, beautiful, ample, and strong, preserving some of the old chapels. In 1824, this church suffered a fire, losing some of its paintings, and its chapels had to be rebuilt. The tower is the largest in Baroque Madrid.
Among its chapels describes Mesonero Romano. It is worth mentioning the Chapel of the Holy Christ, an effigy executed by Alfonso Vergas, which the people of Madrid greatly venerated throughout the 19th century. Below this chapel is the vault called Bóveda of St. Ginés, where every night during Lent and 3 days a week during the rest of the year, there are spiritual exercises of prayer and meditation, sermon, and discipline.
This chapel has its own independent entrance. The church has a painting by El Greco, Expulsion of the Merchants from the Temple. Lope de Vega was baptized in this parish church. Francisco de Quevedo was also married here, and the master musician Tomás Luis de Victoria was buried here. The spirit of this place, so religious in the tradition of Madrid, can be judged by a legend that was placed on the frontis of the entrance door.
You who enter through this door, stop your step and be warned that this place invites you to die in life, to live in death.
It was in the Bóveda de San Ginés that Father Claret often preached. Leaving San Ginés, we take Calle Bordadores to reach the Calle Mayor, which we cross entering the Plaza Mayor. Philip III, whose equestrian statue we can see in the center of this square, was the promoter, replacing the one built by Juan de Herrera. This square became the most important center of the city for its various events, festivals, shops, religious rituals, autos de fe, and bullfights. Juan Gómez de Mora built it in a record time of 2 years, being inaugurated on May 15, 1622, on the canonization of Saint Isidore. Claret used to cross this plaza on Mondays as he made his way to the palace from his residence in Anton Martin from 1859 to 1868. We now go along Calle Toledo until we find the facade of a majestic church on the left. It is the Church of San Isidro. It was formerly a Jesuit church. The brothers Pedro Sanchez and Francisco Bautista built it in the Tridentine style in 1651. The great Baroque Temple of Madrid is where the original bell-shaped dome stands out. Until the expulsion of the Jesuits in 1767, its title was the Church of San Francisco Javier of the Imperial College of the Jesuits.
Charles III ordered the transfer of the body of Saint Isidore to this church from the parish of Saint Andrew, as well as that of Santa Maria de la Cabeza from the oratory of the town hall. In 1815, Ferdinand VII restored the church and convent to the Jesuits. In 1835 came the exclaustration, and in 1885 it became the Provisional Cathedral of Madrid until 1993. The first Bishop of Madrid, Narcisco Martinez Izquierdo, was assassinated at the doors of this church in 1886.
It was in February 1859 that Claret gave the spiritual exercises to a group of men, which was so much talked about. Although the church was spacious, there was hardly room for the people. The communion on the last day lasted an hour, despite the fact that the Cardinal Archbishop of Toledo and 2 other priests helped him. After these exercises were over, the ladies' spiritual exercises began, and this time on the last day communions were given from 8 to 12 noon. Monsignor Barilli, Apostolic Nuncio, congratulated the missionary archbishop on the occasion of these exercises.
My dear Father and dearest brother, first I congratulate you with great satisfaction for the excellent result which the grace of God has granted to the apostolic labors of your Excellency during the spiritual exercises that ended yesterday afternoon. I know that the congregation of the faithful was always large, and I added the recollection with which the evangelical discourses of your Excellency, imbued with zeal, were heard. I also know of the numerous communions, and that there were also other proofs of conversion in not a few persons. May God be praised for so much goodness and mercy, and may He preserve for a long time in robust health His indefatigable and effective minister, such as your Excellency.
It is said that he gave his spiritual exercises in this church in January 1861, during which the wife of the famous politician Gonzales Bravo was converted.
She was a lady of the highest nobility of the capital, and she was reluctant to listen to Father Claret because she could not stay so long in church. She stank of bad odor. She was so given to luxury and vanity that she thought of nothing but balls, banquets, and 1,000 other worldly vanities. One day, she attended the sermon, and the Archbishop preached on the conversion of the Magdalene, but he touched with all delicacy the most intimate secrets of that heart, which I think God had revealed to him when she was present. Towards the middle of the sermon, she fell to her knees and burst into tears. It was not a passing emotion. Until the end of her days, she was a model of virtue and the joy of her family and her husband. Some have identified her with Curita Albornoz from the novel Pequeñeces by Father Luis Coloma.
From here, we go along Calle de los Estudios and Plaza Cascoro towards Calle de Embajadores. And on entering Calle Embajadores, we are surprised by the facade of the Church of San Cayetano. This is the current parish church of San Milan and San Cayetano. In the mid-17th century, the Theatrine order settled there, building a convent under the patronage of San Cayetano, their founder, with a small church. In 1735, they enlarged the convent and built another church, the work of the famous Churriguera, and upon his death of Pedro Ribera.
The Church of Saint Cajetan had a grandiose ground plan, a splendid dome, and a graceful facade. When the convent was confiscated, it was sold, and the church was entrusted to the diocese. In July 1936, the church was burnt to the ground, losing a treasure trove of art and history. It was rebuilt in 1962, preserving the Churrigueresque old facade.
Father Claret gave a mission in this church in February 1858. A newspaper in the capital commented on the mission as follows.
Yesterday ended the holy mission that the Venerable Brotherhood of the Servants of Mary celebrated in the Church of St. Cajetan in the first week, and in that of the religious sisters of the Caballero de Gracia in the second. Although these two churches were chosen because they are among the most spacious in Madrid, the attendance was so great that many people, unable to enter through the doors, were deprived of attending such devout spiritual exercises. The indefatigable and zealous Archbishop of Cuba was in charge of the preaching during these 15 days, and every afternoon he spent at least 2 hours explaining the precepts of our religion.
We continue down Calle de Embajadores and just as we reach Calle del Sombrerete, we turn left until we reach a ruined church, the church of the former Escuelas de San Fernando. It is located opposite the famous Corral. In addition to the church and college of San Antonio and Calle Hortaleza, the Escolapios had this other college and church in Calle Mesón de Paredes, founded in 1733, where the Hospital de Montserrat used to be. A large one was built in 1734.
The church was built by Brother Gabriel Escribano and completed in 1791. In 1936, the church, together with the school and the convent, were ransacked, leaving only the ruins. In 1973, these were restored and the area was landscaped. The rest of the block, between Embajadores, Tribulete, and Mesón de Paredes, is now the location for the trade school and a marketplace, but the ruins of the church, with the enormous drum of its dome, are still visible.
In 1865, Claret preached and gave a mission in the Church of San Fernando for the lower districts and the working classes, especially for the 2,500 workers of the Tabacalera, Calle Embajadores, who, according to Claret, made great use of it. They ended the day of St. Joseph with a very impressive communion. At this point, the walk is over. Without realizing it, we have crossed the heart of the city, and we have still been able to find some traces of the great Apostle Claret, who not only dedicated himself to the confession of the Queen, but who also knew how to respond to the needs of the common people.